സംവേദ്യവർജിതമനുത്തമമേകമാദ്യം സംവിത്പദം വികലനം കലയൻ മഹാത്മൻ ഹൃദ്യേവ തിഷ്ഠകലനാരഹിതഃ ക്രിയാം തു കുർവൻ അകർത്തൃപദമേത്യ ശമോദിതശ്രീഃ കുർവൻ അകർത്തൃപദമേത്യ ശമോദിതശ്രീഃ ശ്രുതീനാം സൂത്രാണാം സ്മൃതിനിഖിലവേദാനുവചസാം പരം ഹാർദം യുക്തം ഹ്യഖിലചിദചിദ്ഭിന്നമപി ച അഭിന്നം സ്വാഭാവ്യാദ് ഗുണിച പരമം ബ്രഹ്മകമിദം സമാദിഷ്ടം യൈസ്താൻ അപി സതതമീഡേ ഗുരുവരാൻ ഭാഗ്യോദയേന ബഹുജന്മ സമാർജിതേന സത്സംഗമേവ ലഭതേ പുരുഷോ യദാ വൈ അജ്ഞാനഹേതുകൃതമോഹമഹാന്ധകാര നാശം വിധായ ഹി തതോദയതേ വിവേകഃ. ഹരി ഓം ഹരി ഓം. I am generally given to reciting the auspicious monosyllable 3 times just before the commencement of the talk. This I have been doing in all places. You know, when I go outside, I always speak nowadays for the most part in English, and sometimes I also speak in Hindi. Wherever I go, whether it is in the conference hall of a big hotel, or maybe in a corporate team, or maybe addressing the executives of any industrial society or industrial organization, I make it a point to chant Om. But I would not like to attach any religious significance to this recitation, because it's a question of using our voice. Everybody speaks. You and I always do. The speech itself is a derivative from something deep down within our personality. We don't know where the ideas are formed. The doctors may have to give us some kind of a description of it, but we are not able to know. The ideas so formulated somewhere perhaps in the head, in the brain, they communicate themselves to the vocal system, as a result of which we are able to articulate, and articulate very effectively, efficiently, sometimes colorfully also. But the entire articulation which represents units and compounds of knowledge, you will find, is nothing but a combination of syllables, consonants, and their multiples. So we have found, especially the Mandukya Upanishad makes a mention of it, the entire gamut of knowledge is represented by the sound system. And the whole sound system is represented primarily by 3 syllables. One is the syllable that comes out of our mouth when the mouth is wide open. Whether it is for human beings or the non-human beings, the sound that comes out issues forth from the mouth when the lips are kept wide open. It will always be ah. And the sound that issues forth when you keep the lips closed, it will be All the other sounds and sound combinations are intermediate. By keeping the lips open to different degrees, the tongue is twisted, the throat also is employed, the teeth are employed. So you will find that all the sound combinations which represent knowledge, they can finally be related to, condensed into 3 syllables, a, u and Here the u represents all the intermediate sounds and sound combinations. So we have found Om to be a full representative of the entire gamut of knowledge as revealed by sounds and their multiples from the human mouth. This Omkara also has got a very clear import to make. It represents the 3 different states of awareness that we have. One is the wakefulness, which is represented by A, because it is very extensive and wide open. Ah. The wakeful world is also very extensive and endless. Then quite opposed to it we have the sleep state, that is also a state of awareness, you can say, consciousness. We are not able to say anything about what exactly is the sleep. In the same manner, the humming sound, it can be denoting an ascent or a descent also. Except that it is a sound, we cannot say anything about it. Equally so is the situation with our deep sleep or sushupti. Then we have something in between, the intermediate one called the dream. After having gone to sleep, the consciousness apparently slips into an altogether different condition or a state. In that you will find we have a parallel world, we have an altogether new body, and we also do all the interactions, deriving all the interactional outcomes and experiences as we are having in our wakefulness. But it is an altogether independent creation of the consciousness or the mind within the body. That is represented by U. So when you utter the Om, the auspicious monosyllable, it covers the entire range of the three states, thereby everything that our life contains and hopes to achieve. As a sound, it has got tremendous power to activate the spiritual coordinates within the body. It increases the efficiency of man, efficacy of man. It can generate any extent of will, drive, enthusiasm, perseverance, commitment, resolve, and what not. It is also very sublimating. I happened to hear an American specialist talking. It was played to me in Delhi by a yoga teacher. The doctor seems to be very clearly saying that Omkara has got the power of activating and rejuvenating the heart. It can even become a signal to the heart, he says. So far we were thinking that brain stimulus will have to stimulate the heart. But Omkara itself is also capable of doing it. Why I am mentioning all this? My so-called devotional and spiritual crowd is always used to their Swamiji, Bhoomananda Swamiji reciting the Om. But here apparently we are expecting at least a large section of the so-called non-religious crowd, if at all there is one. So I would like them to understand that I am not importing any idea or message of religion in this. I only want you to use your own sound, the power of articulation, in a manner that it will have a rejuvenating, a sublimating, and also an austere effect. That would set right the tone for my talk as well as for your listening. After all, when I deliver a talk, it's actually a conjunction between the speaker on the one hand and the listeners on the other. I can provide the exposure, and all of you will have to give me the necessary reception. So the exposure and reception, it's a bilateral process. I can only look at you and speak when there is somebody to hear me. So the exposure part I shall do, the receptional part you will have to. Thereafter my role ends. After I end my talk, it's for all of you to conduct the rumination, reflection or introspection over whatever you have heard. If you are able to do it very well, then only assimilation of the ideas or the exposure will take place. Once it is assimilated, like the food assimilated by the system, it becomes blood and part of the body. You will find whatever is assimilated becomes part of the enrichment, enlightenment and empowerment in whatever you do. This is how the whole process of exposure works. So here now I am going to recite the auspicious monosyllable 3 times, and I would like you to join me. I primarily recite it for you, not for me. So unless all of you participate, my effort will have no purpose whatsoever. What do you say? Ready? Then sit erect. Sit erect, close your eyes and open your mouth as well as the heart. Then join me. don't know whether all of you have participated. So let the lethargy and shyness also vaporize. Harihi Om. That's Jai Guru. I am happy to be spending about 3 days, 3 evenings, so to say, with all of you, discussing a subject like personal fulfillment and professional excellence. In fact, I have always been talking about personal fulfillment during the past more than 50 years, both in India as well as abroad. But we generally give the subject a kind of a spiritual-philosophical caption. And we have a number of texts, age-old texts, dealing with the subject, where the human personality becomes the sole focus. Many people do not understand that whenever they are doing anything like a religious or a ceremonial ritual, what exactly I look at in the ritual is not to whom or what it is addressed, but the person, the individual who does it. Whenever you move your hands, it is your action, your activity. Whenever you speak, it is again your articulation. Whenever you are thinking, it is your own invisible inner act. In spite of the fact that it appears to be a ritual or a ceremony, a kind of a religious or a ceremonial exercise, the person who exercises is himself. You go to a gymnasium. There are a number of gadgets there with the help of which you take a number of exercises. Are these exercises aimed at improving the health and well-being of the gadgets you employ? Every time, my dear soul, the individual performer, the individual actor is the sole focus of all activities and interactions. Let us be very clear about it. The world requires to be told that there is a difference between the subject and the object. The individual always remains the subject of an action, an activity. You are interacting with this world. You are interacting with the various factors in this world. I would like to classify them as persons, places, and events. The interactions that we do completely throughout our life can only be with either persons. The persons may be members of your family. They can be members, your colleagues in your office friend. They can be members of the society at large. Or you can interact with environments and circumstances. Now here is a situation or a circumstance or an environment. Till you reach the goal, you were in your own houses, maybe traveling. When you are traveling, you are interacting with wherever you are passing through, if there are people, along with the people. Now when you have come to the hall, it is actually a lecture hall, supposed to give you an exposure with regard to a particular subject which we have selected for the purpose. When you go to the market, you interact with other members of the society, either persons or places or events. A number of events take place in our life. Every time an event takes place, you have to interact with the event, thereafter with the memory of the event. So all the interactions are always with persons, places, and events. Let us be very clear. Do you agree or disagree? You have not thought about it, is it not? Now the interacted with, namely persons, places, and events, they go on changing, they can be variable. But the individual who interacts with all of them, namely he himself or she himself, that remains the same. I call this individual the subject of interaction, and the entire world, objects and situations are the objects interacted with. Where is the focus now? Throughout our life? You tell me. Our country has a population of 115 crores. Everybody will say, refer to it. But they hardly think. All these 115 crores of people have been constituted by individual birth from an individual mother in an individual family. Do you agree or disagree? The individuals put together become the family. Families put together become social groups. And social groups gathered together will become a state or a region. And so many regions put together become a nation. Nations collected together become the globe. And ultimately, even the earth is only one of the myriad planets or heavenly bodies in the whole endless universe. But where from do you start? So far as we are concerned, we have to start from the individual, and you will find we also terminate in the individual. So when we selected a caption like personal fulfillment and professional excellence, I believe we have to think a lot, basically and fundamentally. Whenever we speak of fulfillment, it's a very simple word. I don't know whether you have thought about it. Fulfillment, a feeling of fullness, a feeling of having fulfilled our life, that fulfillment should come. When you take fulfillment as a subject, as a comprehensive or a universal subject, you should see that you must have a fulfillment which covers all aspects. If you have aspirations, all the aspirations. If you have other things opposed to them, all of them will have to be taken into account. Then only fulfillment can be. I am not referring to fulfillment with regard to a particular day. Yesterday was a day of fulfillment. My conversation with my friend was fulfilling. It's not such piecemeal or particular or unitary fulfillment that I am referring to. You must have a mind. You must have a heart. All of them must have a sense of fulfillment. I am living in this way, living in this world with an ample and an abundant sense of fulfillment. I have no inner or mental lack or poverty or privation. Am I clear? Huh? What? Yes or no? All of you have a mind. I am wondering whether your mind is rich, affluent, abundant. Do you have an affluent mind? I call something like psychological sufficiency and inner abundance. You must have a mind which inundates you as well as the surroundings and the world. Do you have such a mind? What prevents you from having it? Our body continues to grow up to the age of 21. After having completed 21, every day and every moment is a day of decline and decay, so to say. The decay may not be there, the decline is there. If the body has completed its growth at the age of 21, when we become an adult, we are ready to have our choices, our aspirations, our selections with regard to what we do and what we shall achieve. When all these things have already been had, at that time the body begins to decline. Is it not a travesty, my dear listeners? If the body continues to decline, then I ask you, what as an adult in us is supposed to grow and become better, better and better? You are obliged to give me an answer. That which is within the body, which is not necessarily a biological part of the body, which is entirely different from the body. Swamiji, why do you say so? Yes, I will say that. Not 1 time, but 1,000 times. Our body is a biological aggregate. And being a biological aggregate, it contains only matter and energy. Neither matter nor energy is capable of thinking, feeling, sensing, knowing, remembering, understanding, etc. But our mind and intelligence go on doing all these things. So can they be a part of the mind? Certainly not. Everything in the body is part of the body. But the moment you touch and reach the level of the mind, you have transcended matter and energy. Am I clear or no? Huh? You should at least give me a nod or say no. One of the two. Do you know of any matter and energy which is capable of thinking and feeling? Whereas we constantly feel. Who tells you that there is a body? Does somebody else tell you that you have a body, or your mind feels the presence of the body? This is something that you have to clearly understand. An understanding of the human personality is very, very important. Very, very important. Now it is in the mind level that we think of something like fulfillment. The body has no fulfillment at all. Even when you are hungry and you want to take a sumptuous meal, have a sumptuous meal, the hunger is felt by the mind. And mind provides you the motivation to eat. And when the stomach is full, it is again the mind says that my stomach is full. My dear souls, all actions originate from the mind. All actions are sustained and supported by the mind. And all actions conclude and terminate in the mind. Mind is the source of everything. Mind is the terminus of everything. Even the existence of the body is sensed, felt, and comprehended by the mind. Whenever we speak of fulfillment, we are speaking of fulfillment as a derivative or a fruition of this inner mind. Our human personality is not exhausted by the body. Body is the peripheral framework in our personality. It is gross, it is physical, it is visible. But the body itself, along with all the parts you will find, they are only an instrument in the hands of the mind. Is it clear? Huh? You will not be able to move your body except when the mind wills and wishes it. Whenever I want to see something, the feeling that I have to see arises in the mind. Then I open my eyelids and focus wherever I want to see. So the seeing process initially is originating in the mind. And while the seeing goes on as an action or as an interaction, it is not disconnected from the mind. It subsists on the mind. And when I have seen, the entire picture is formed within me to be retained by the mind. This is what is happening. So when I say mind is the source of all activity and interaction, it is also the one on which all actions and interactions subsist and also terminate and conclude. I mean quite much. I want to take your attention away from the body to what is within the body, which animates and activates the body. Am I clear? There is some presence in the body which animates and activates the body. That presence is different from the body. It is neither material nor energial. Because it is different from matter and energy, we call it spiritual. You should not take the word spiritual to be ghost and ghostly. Certainly not. We want to indicate a clear difference from matter and energy. That is why we call it spiritual. The word spiritual, spiritualization, spirituality, etc., that particular word, it has gained a lot of currency everywhere. In the corporate teams, they speak a number of things about the spiritual. Unless there is a spiritual identity, unless there is a spiritual involvement, unless there is a spiritual implication, nobody will be able to come out with full productivity and excellence. This is the talk of the corporate world. By mere motivation like giving incentives and remuneration, a man will not be able to do a job well. Whether it is excellence, motivation, inspiration, or otherwise, you will find these are not coordinates of the body, the biological body. If you want to persist and persevere, that persistence as well as perseverance, commitment, dedication, resolve, tenacity, all these are qualities of the mind and the heart. Am I clear or no? All the words that I have used, none of them refers to the body or the bodily part. So our entire body is only an instrument in the hands of the mind. I always describe the human personality to be a composite. In that composite we have a biological aggregate called the physical gross body. But that body does not exhaust us. The more vital parts and constituents are within the body, transcending the level of matter. One, it is the mind. Another is the intelligence. Now, many of you have heard the terms mind and intelligence, but I am practically sure that perhaps nobody knows what they are. What exactly is the mind? What exactly is the intelligence? We are applying them. To buy a car and to use the car does not necessarily mean to know automobile engineering. We have a body. We live with a body, we use our body, but alas, we don't know what this body is. That is why we go to the doctors. Anyway, the understanding and analysis of the body, the biological structure, that is for the medicinal world to deal with. I speak nothing about it. But I will speak everything about the non-bodily elements or constituents called the mind and the intelligence, because it's a subject where people like us have an enormous degree of specialization, actualization and excellence. I have been speaking only about the mind for many, many months and years now. That mind which you have, everyone has, but you don't know. So whenever we think of personal fulfillment, this fulfillment is a derivative of the inner constituents of the human personality, namely the mind and the intelligence. Now coming to the question of professional excellence, what does it mean? Excellence as a professional in pursuing his profession with sufficient integrity, effectiveness, efficiency, efficacy and mastery, so to say. How will all this come? Whenever a person succeeds in doing whatever he is expected to do, objectively you call it success, but the successfulness in performance. Am I clear? You have become successful in achieving a certain outcome, but the successfulness itself is a personality coordinate. He has been able to do it excellently, so that excellentiality should be his nature, character and coordinate. Unless you as a person become excellent in your performance is not going to have an excellent outcome. So if you want to pursue excellence, where should be the focus? Is it on the object front or is it in the subject front? No answer. Huh? If you are excellent, you will be excellent in whatever you do. So I was telling a corporate team that excellentiality should be your very nature, character. You should be given to excellentiality. If you are excellential. I once went to Telco to visit the whole factory. I was taken to different areas and the general manager was accompanying me, explaining me. We went to the test track there. So when we were moving about in the test track, the general manager said, Swamiji, I have to do a lot of organization further here. But what I find is, I myself am not organized. When I become organized, all that I do will also be organized. So to have an organized performance, where should be the focus? On you yourself. And in you also, where? Is it on the body or is it on the mind and the intelligence? This is a question I ask. So whether it is professional excellence or personal fulfillment, our focus should be on the subject part of the human personality. Is it clear or not? Do you agree or not? Why I have decided to address a team of people like you? I believe most of the people here are given to the performancial world, where everyone would be aiming at an excellent performance, excellentiality. Why did I think of speaking about this subject to all of you? Because I know that excellence can never be except when the performer's mind and intelligence become excellent. Do you want to be an inferior performer? Do you want to be a substandard performer? Or do you want to be a performer par excellence? It is a choice before you. It is a decision to make. It is a resolve that you should cultivate, generate and preserve. So excellence is a quality. There are so many different qualities, positive and negative, and excellence is a quality. Particularly in professional excellence, you must have the object front knowledge as much as is necessary. That is why we have various academic and professional centers where MBAs, IITs and so many other institutes are flourishing well. Even the United States has appreciated our IIT students. I think we are able to produce the best of engineering graduates in India with reasonably much less expenditure than what the other world, the advanced world will do or are doing. So we have certainly a good number of people on the object front, but many of them may not be having that excellential standard or quality which we look for. So apart from the object knowledge that you have, the professional knowledge that you You must necessarily have a knowledge of your own personality, human personality in general. That is necessary. There is something called the development, the enrichment, the empowerment, the elevation, the expansion, the enlightenment, and the crowning glory we can achieve so far as the mind and the intelligence are concerned. That is why you will find in the corporate world, a lot of training programs are being arranged only to expose the executives to something like this. I have also addressed a number of corporate world people, quite a number of them in different places on different occasions. Normally I don't do it, but I am also called upon to do that, and I also talk to them. So what I want to tell you is that personal fulfillment and professional excellence, they always go together. Excellence is a quality that you have to cultivate, and mind and intelligence are to be the focus for it. That is one part. So far as personal fulfillment is concerned, you must be able to live and do all your work, take up all activities and interactions in a very joyful, delightful, in a rejoicing manner. You can do a work cheerfully and also cheerlessly. The option is before you. If you ask me, you can develop your mind, you can refine and enrich your mind in such a manner that any kind of a work you take up, it will always be a joyful pursuit. I don't want the joy to result as an outcome after your performance. I would like you as a performer to take up the work joyfully, cheerfully, hopefully, confidently, diligently, and perform it, pursue it, so that automatically and irresistibly you will have an excellent outcome and an excellent fruition. It's a question of training your personality, particularly your mind and intelligence. The inner personality consists of mind, intelligence, and ego, and the external visible personality consists of the body, the 5 knowledge organs, and the 5 action organs. Actually, these organs do not move away from the body. Am I clear? The eyes remain where they are, the ears remain where they are, the hands remain where they are. They don't get away from the body. But we are taking up a variety of activities. The entire variety is a result and an outcome of our mind and the intelligence. I always marvel at what we have done. People sitting on the earth have been able to engineer and master a journey into the moon. They have never gone to the moon. Without having gone there, they measured the distance to the moon, understood all the different regions and areas, and they were able to send vehicles as well as people, overcoming and neutralizing, sublimating various forms of attraction, repulsion, etc., gravity, etc., finally land the people there and bring them back. Is it a glory of our body, or is it a crowning glory of our mind and intelligence? Tell me. Without having gone to the moon, they were able to master, engineer a beautiful and safe journey to that planet and bring back the people. So our mind's capacity is infinite, my dear souls. Don't set limits to your mind. Sky is the limit of excellence. Sky is the limit of perseverance. There is no end at all. The only agency that can act on the mind is the intelligence. The intelligence always looks for knowledge. There is no intellectual or intelligential effort where knowledge is not meant to be achieved. And this intelligence is the only tool which can act upon your mind. By smearing anything on the body, the mind is not going to be affected at all. Whenever there is a play of intelligence, we are using our intelligence for many external ambitions, aspirations, and achievements. But employ the same intelligence to improve the quality of the mind, character of the mind, behavior of the mind, and the excellence of the mind. Once you are able to spend time to understand the art and the process of fulfillment as well as professional excellence, you will be able to achieve excellence in whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve. This is an assurance I would like to make to all of you on behalf of the power, the potential and possibility of the human mind. Our mind is capable of doing this. The body completes its growth, leaving everything in the hands of the mind. I have completed my growth, my dear mind. You employ this completed body in whichever manner you want. Make life or mar life. This is an open question. So we should take it up and understand properly. Whenever we have interaction, the interaction is always between the individual and the rest of the world, I said. Our life is experiential. When I say that, I don't know whether you will readily grasp the point or not. Every time we are experiencing. The moment we wake up, that waking up itself is an experience. I was sleeping, not knowing anything. Suddenly I woke up. Who knows that you have woken up? Others know or you know? Huh? Somebody else tells you that you have woken up, or you know yourself that I have woken up. And then until you close your eyes during night, if you are not a shift worker, then you go to sleep. And that I slept is also your own experience. Not that somebody else comes and tells you that you have slept. So sleeping, utter forgetfulness and unconsciousness, as well as waking up, all that takes place between these two. Everything is an experience. This experience, if you closely analyze, it will always be interactional. The interactions can be in the sensory level, or the interactions can be in the inner level. When you are recognizing a thought and processing that thought, it is an interaction with your inner thought process. When you take up a quest and pursue the quest and arrive at knowledge, different degrees of knowledge, there is an interaction with your intelligence. So the interactions can be subtle, inward, they can also be outward, sensory. Mostly we are speaking about the sensory interactions. So life is always experiential on the one hand and interactional on the other. On the other. These interactions are taking place in our sensory level. With the eyes we see, with the ears we hear, with the tongue we taste, with the smell, with the nose we smell, and with the skin we touch. These are our interactions. Then we have physical and mechanical movements brought about by the organs of action. These are our interactions. In all these interactions, mind you, as I said earlier, they proceed from the mind, they subsist on the mind, they conclude and terminate in the mind. So the sole focus should be our mind. So if you want to have fulfillment in life, what is meant by fulfillment? It's a kind of an emotional offshoot or an emotional flowering of the mind. Whenever you refer to joy, delight, fulfillment, everything is actually emotional in character. So to have a fulfillment, you have to have the sanction of your own mind. You have to pay your attention to the mind and go into the very process of fulfillment. Fulfillment as an art, fulfillment as a process, fulfillment as a pursuit, fulfillment as an endeavor. Think about it. The same applies to professional excellence also. A man can be excellent only with his body, mind and intelligence. And the excellence, as I said, is always a quality of the mind and the intelligence. So a man seeking performantial or professional excellence will always have to look into the mind and make the mind excellential in its character. That cannot be avoided. This is something very important. So naturally, this subject, personality fulfillment and professional excellence, will always ask us, oblige us to take up the human personality study. The study of the mind, the study of the intelligence, the study of how the mind and the intelligence conjunct themselves, how the conjunction works. So the whole subject becomes a philosophical chapter in our life, where we take up the study of the mind, study of the intelligence, their behavior, their potential, their possibilities, and their excellentiality. I would like to tell every one of you that each one of you has the same factors and constituents in your personality which every great man in this world had, has, or will have. Do you agree or disagree? Not many people are responding. Take any great man. I don't want to refer to anybody. You know, there was the great Newton who discovered the force of gravity of the earth. What happened? One day he saw an apple fall. The apple tree was earlier there. For ages it was there. And so many apples fell. All of them ate the apples, filled their stomach. But when Newton saw an apple fall, he started thinking, why? Why should this apple fall and not flee? It was there. It has come down to the earth almost perpendicularly. It was not falling in a tangential manner. Where was it there? And where has it come to? Upon the earth. Like the apple, so many things are falling. Does the apple have an intention? No. Then why is it falling to the earth? He went on thinking. With what mind? With the same mind which you and I have. You agree or disagree? Huh? He did not have an additional mind. He had the same mind and the same intelligence. You know, he went on thinking and thinking, not for 1 year, many years perhaps. Somebody say it is 14 years, somebody say it is 2 years, etc. There is some record, I don't know that. Finally he discovered, it is the gravitational pull of the earth that brings the apple down on its surface. Tell me, the discovery is to be attributed to what? To his eyes or to his inner personality? Are you thoughtful? Are you introspective? Are you inquiring? Are you investigating? Are you examining? Are you given to evaluation? Are you given to investigation? Do you like to discover, uncover, unearth what you have? We are too busy with the world we see, but we are not at all concerned about what sees in us. What did I say? We are too occupied, like Wordsworth says, the world is too much with us. But we are too little with the mind and the intelligence, where the entire mystery of the whole seeing process rests. I don't know whether my talk is interesting to you, or it is dry. Huh? Is it interesting? I try to make it interesting. So if you take, Newton was a great man, that Newton had only a body, a mind, an intelligence, an ego. Don't you think every one of you has this? Then wherein lies the greatness and excellence in any particular person? How you employ your mind and intelligence to activate and animate the body in whatever you do. As I said, the hands and feet, they do not grow. They grow only up to a particular age. Thereafter there is a self-arresting condition which stops the whole bodily growth. So the growth can only be in the mind and the intelligence. And the entire world is in front of you. You can grow to any extent. The growth is not vertical, but it is expansional. It is enrichmental. It is enlightenmental. It is elevational. That kind of a growth. So what will bring about the inner personality, elevation and enrichment? You have to think repeatedly and understand. Take for instance Sri Rama, an epic character, Sri Krishna, another epic character. What did they have? Ravana had 20 hands and 10 heads. Sri Rama had only 1 hand and 2 hands. Are you doubtful about it? Huh? You are doubtful. Only with 2 hands and 1 head, Sri Rama excelled in whatever he did. Sri Krishna also had only 2 hands and 1 head. He also excelled. The same excellence you and I can also achieve is a declaration I would like to make to the listening of the entire world. I would like to meet a few people who are interested in developing their own mind's potential, intelligence's potential, ego sublimation and enrichment. Where are the people? You always belong to conformity. You don't want to have an individual excellence. We are going to the same schools where perhaps our parents also went. The same subjects are being taught. The whole education will have to be revamped and reinstituted. The national values, time-tested values, have no place in our educational syllabus. That is why I thought of forming a foundation for restoration of national values and organization. One important subject before which is a national educational syllabus. There are children along with the parents who come to our ashram. Now also we had a few children. I was talking to them about the mind, about the intelligence, about the superiority of the mind and intelligence over the body, over the world. They were listening to me with borrowed ears and making notes. I asked them the same question. Do you find whatever I say interesting? Yes. One little elderly boy who is present here, he said, Swamiji, no teacher has told me this. What happened to our teachers? We certainly must have professional learning, professional training, it's agreed. But with all the training, our body is employed by the mind and the intelligence. Do you want to live and work with a small mustard measure mind? Or would you like to have an expansional mind, is a question I ask you. Huh? No answer. A mustard mind you want to work with? You should have a magnificent mind, an expansive mind, an elevated mind, a lofty mind, an evolving mind, a beautiful, delightful mind, a heroic mind, a committed mind, a resilient mind you must have. And all these qualities can be cultivated. Some people have by inheritance and birth, some can be cultivated by us. This is what we should always try to achieve. Though our subject is personal fulfillment and professional excellence, the subject, when properly understood and analyzed, it becomes a subject of a close and a consistent study of the human mind, its potential and possibilities. How much potential you have in your mind and what are the possibilities to be open before us? This is the one question that we have to take up. So, do not tell me that, Swamiji, I lack this, I lack that. You may lack many things outside in the economic front. 60 years have passed in our country and we have not been able to remove the poverty, economic poverty of the land. Maybe it will not be removed during my lifetime, I agree. But certainly mental poverty can be eliminated by all people. Why is it that with a mind you are not able to think well, progressively, confidently, hopefully, resiliently, successfully and excellently? Why is it that you are not able to think? Have you mortgaged your mind? Bodily we are small, but our mind is very big. Tomorrow perhaps I will discuss and show you, to the approval of every one of my listeners, that all factors and constituents in our personality, properly studied, are superior to the world around us, surrounding us. What did I say? All the constituents in our personality are superior to the world that surrounds us. Tomorrow I will set it up as a subject of discussion and show it to you. Of course, I will not have a laboratory. I will not have a microscope and a telescope, because we are given to only what? The scientific canons of observation and inference. What did I say? Observation and inference. With the telescope, with the microscope, with so many different forms of chemical tests, laboratory examinations, etc., ultimately it is observation and inference. These are the only two canons of knowledge. They are the canons of science. The same two canons we are also applying. But our laboratory is our own body, our own mind, our own intelligence, our own experiences, our own observations, and the most intelligent and irrefutable inferences we make. Am I clear? No. No or yes? Then I am happy. See, I am a person who will talk only happily and joyfully. If the listeners are not able to keep company with me, then I feel naturally not very happy. So every one of you has the same constituents, a body in full, a mind, intelligence, and also ego. A right application of these must be able to take you anywhere you want to reach. So the great people, Sri Rama, Sri Krishna and the others, they employed their body, employed their mind and intelligence very well, and they became heroic, successful and exemplary. So far as we are concerned, we are satisfied with a day's meal, and a comfortable sleep. This is what we are interested in. We don't think about the society, we don't think about the people, we don't think about the nation, we don't think about the world. You know, with all our scientific inventions and technological advancement, what we have made this earth, we are making it more and more unlivable. Do you understand or not? There are so many creatures upon this earth. Human beings are much small in number. All the other creatures are there. None of them brings about destruction to the ecological welfare and solidarity of nature, earth. Only the human beings destroy, and devour. Am I speaking to you a truth or not? The global warming has been contributed only by us. Having contributed it without thinking properly, thinking in a long-term manner, with the inability and constriction that thinkers generally have, they also had. Ultimately, they now say, at the end of this century, we will have moved this earth to a precipitous edge from where we don't know what will happen. More than 2.8 degrees Celsius, the global warming is going to increase by the end of this century, is a report that I have on my table from authoritative sources. And who contributes to this global warming? Only the good and great human being, and that too the human mind and the human intelligence. Its potential is very great, and the warming has been caused by primarily three factors: land traffic, water traffic, and air traffic. A number of factories and effluents which are produced from them. When you set up a factory, should you not think what we shall do with the effluents? Are we not intelligent? Are we not responsible? These people who are setting up the industry and want to run, industrial capital should be utilized. Are they not members of the society? Will not their children and grandchildren be members of the wide society, which will either be benefited or which will be endangered by whatever they do? Am I clear or not? When a child is born in your family, you celebrate it saying, my child, my grandchild, come all of you, I will distribute sweets. Are you ever able to say, I have a child, a citizen of my country and the world? My dear souls, what happens to your mind? Where is the expansion? Where is the societalness? Where is the large-heartedness to think? A child is born of you, but you are delivering the child to the lap of the earth. Neither you nor your child is standing on your earth. The moment you step out of your house, you are putting your foot on public land, footpath or road. Can the individual exist without the society? And can the society be indifferent to the individuals? Why are we not incorporating these larger societal dimensions in our mind? All people are family people, but how many of you here are societal families? This is a question I would like to ask every one of you. My heart is crying to find that in spite of education, in spite of academic and professional excellence, the selfishness, the constrictions of the mind and the heart, they refuse to leave. Why is it that you are not employing your mind, employing your intelligence in the same manner in which it should be employed? Our objective will not be fulfilled unless we are able to preserve the earth's solidarity and bequeath it to the succeeding generation in a better manner. Don't bequeath a depleted earth. Bequeath an enriched and an affluent earth. Is it possible, I am asking you? Huh? These are thoughts above your head. Huh? I think the time has come for me to stop my talk because you don't seem to be appreciating it. I am also a person born in a family. My parents did not teach me these things, but they gave me a good inheritance, no doubt. 60 years have passed in our country. Where is that nationalism, the spirit that belongs to the nation? The other day I was called upon to address a team of 30 IAS officers. The subject was wholesomeness, wholeness, etc. I took up the subject. I spoke to them in Skype. At the end of it, they discussed for about 1 hour whatever I talked, and they asked about 11 questions. All of them I answered. Very surprisingly, they asked me, Swamiji, please administer a pledge to us. So I administered a pledge offhand. It seems the report was that all of them cried after doing the pledge. I was telling them, you know, you are not the elected people, but the selected ones. There are about 1,000 elected political representatives in the country. As opposed or as against that, 9,000 IAS officers are there. I think 900 elected heads and 9,000 IAS officers. Why are these people elected by an elaborate procedure? You are the best people whom the nation can rely upon for your intelligence, integrity and industry. That is why an elaborate procedure was instituted to select you. Without the selected team, the elected people will not be able to work. If any political head has done anything good or bad, it is always in conjunction with the IAS officers. Am I right or not? So you cannot say we are not part of the team. Even the high courts have started saying, you IAS officers are supposed to advise the minister about what is proper, what is national, what is acceptable, what is anti-national. Because they have a transitory term and you have a lasting term. Now between the two, you tell me who should be better and who should be more stable. I am looking forward to a stage where the entire administrative team will be beaming with the spirit of nationalism, national fondness, national concern, national commitment and national enrichment. What are you saying? Enlightenment has the greatest persuasion and compulsion in man. Enlightenment, educate a society, tell them. So I administered a pledge saying that the people are confiding me. What do you mean by the confidence? I was telling them, every one of you is appointed by the president. The president is elected by the electoral college. The electoral college is constituted of elected people. And ultimately, it is the people who elect that count. Tell me now, your super bosses are the political heads or the people of the country. What are you saying? I even now want, two things here. The electorate to understand their potential and possibilities. We are the people who elect. So the elected has to behave and fulfill our requirements, our aspirations, our ambitions, the national needs and responses. If they fail to do it, we have every power to tell them, you are misbehaving and things should be set right. But we are wonderful people. Over a cup of tea, sitting in the drawing room, we will start discussing it. The world never recognizes this. In a democratic society, you have to come out of your house, be on the streets, and lawfully and constitutionally and peacefully raise your demand or protest in a collective bargaining manner. If I can get 5,000 people with me, I will change the destiny of the country at least in 10 years. But are you prepared? No. Whenever I had taken up social reformations, I have found if we stand there, the people who were standing with us are from here. In between all the intellectuals, educated and responsible people, they kept back. Swamiji, what you say is right, we are behind you. Behind you where? In our drawing room. Not behind you, personally behind my body, not at all. I said this is a very tragic situation. Our country doesn't deserve to be good. That is why the Supreme Court, even God will not be able to improve India, they said. What are you trying to say? We don't have the spirit of nationalism. So I was telling them, people are reposing their confidence and hope in you. Rise to that level. Justify it. Fulfill it. Ultimately, your masters are the people. You should be able to stand up and then say, this is not conducive to the welfare of the country, cohesion of the country. It cannot be done. Whenever that is called for. So they were asking questions with political intimidation and political pressure, etc. What shall we do? Then I answered all those questions. You know, these administrative officers, did not Rama go to the forest for 14 years? He converted it into an austere enrichment. Mark my words. What? He converted it into an austere enrichment. Similarly, our IAS team also must have austere enrichment. It cannot be enrichment in terms of money, position, power and pomp. Austere enrichment also should be there. All of you are apparently a very good team of people. I don't know you well. Some people I know. All the invitations have been sent out primarily for managerial, professional, doctors and the other people here. I don't know, many of you must have come from those friends. If you have come, I consider you to be a very good team of people. That is why I thought of discussing this subject. Now, I have to end today, but I would like to summarize the whole point. What is that? Personality fulfillment and professional excellence. For both of them, both these, fulfillment as well as excellence, the genesis is in your own mind. Do you agree or disagree? Huh? So a probe into the mind to uncover and unearth what the potentials and possibilities within the mind are, thereafter to harness them. Harness them. You don't know, you know, I don't like to use the word exploit. It should be removed from the dictionary. Exploitation. Exploitation. It's a very bad word. Ever since I started speaking in this area, I always said harness it, utilize it, employ it. Exploitation means what? Tin deposits are there. In Malaysia, quite a lot of tin ores were there. All of them were extracted by the British government, and you know, even birds are not able to live there. All the water is spoiled. Recently they took up some kind of a restoration and they created a large area. They purified the water, etc. The birds came back there comfortably. So what is this? Exploitation. We will exploit the earth to such an extent that all the other creatures will be denied. In Gujarat, somebody was a forest minister continuously for a few terms. The reports, if I have read the reports and they are right, the information is that he denuded the forest to such an extent that peacocks were not able to live. They had no food. They started migrating. A college student took pity and finally started distributing food to them, and Illustrated Weekly or so I found a picture. My dear souls, live and let live. In pursuit of your life, you cannot deny life for the others. Let us preserve the earth, preserve its greenery. Let us keep the earth moderately warm. Let us not to go to such an extent of civilization, such an extent of industrialization that even the polar ice will melt. And about 5 meters, they say, the sea level is going to increase and many countries will be under sea water. This is what scientists are saying. I don't know. Is this the way civilization should head for? Can we not do a better job? And where lies the key? The key lies in our own mind. Have an expansive mind, have an accommodating mind, have an amiable mind, have an inclusive or a comprehensive mind. As you incorporate your family, you also incorporate the entire society, the entire globe. Before you get up, you should start feeling and asserting, saying that I am not a family man alone. As I am a member of the family is a member of the society is a member of a nation, the nation is a member of the globe itself is a member of the whole universal pattern. From the same center, all these concentric circles should be drawn. Will you draw them? You did not understand what I said? You will only consider yourself to be an individual steeped in selfishness, or you will also have familial concern and feelings. Similarly, societal concerns, national concerns and global concerns. Who will cultivate them? You, the mothers, the would-be mothers. You, the fathers, the would-be fathers. You alone have to cultivate these higher and larger dimensions in the children. We have not been able to do it. That is why, my dear souls, we suffer. This construction, this, what shall I say? The coexistential feeling is not there. On the other hand, the co-destructional cancer has infected the minds of not merely the ordinary people, the super scientists of the world. Destruction, weapons. This is the cry and glamour of the people. When are we going to think differently? It is our earth, our mother earth. It is our own atmosphere. The industrialists should see that whatever they produce, they must be able to produce in such a manner that as a result of the production, only benefit results and not destruction or pollution. Can we not set up the standard? I vouchsafe on behalf of the intelligence and the mind, we are capable of doing things in a harmless manner. Our civilization can be made so beautiful, so lovable and so amiable that under the tenets of civilization, we will not be destroying or endangering the earth at all. Can we not set up this ideal before us and pursue? If you speak about professional excellence and personal fulfillment, pin your fulfillment and excellence on these fundamental points and ideals. We are capable of doing it. So I was administering a pledge in which I said, we will prove the trust and the confidence that the people have reposed on us. Our country due to lack of values, due to lack of understanding of the mind and the intelligence, the national character of things, you know what has happened? The country has fallen to the 82nd position in the World Corruption Index. 82nd it has fallen to. What is the India that we belong to? And are we not responsible for it? So I said, my first priority will be to contain this corruptional trends. And every effort I will make. That was also one point in that pledge. So all of them started shedding tears, I was told. And the speech is going to be circulated to all the 9,000 officers of the country. And the person who organized it, he says, please give me a written form. I just spoke extempore. We have been able to produce it. And it will be read by every one of them, he said, he will make sure. And my sole subject will be mind and intelligence, personal fulfillment and performantial excellence, professional excellence. Fulfillment is joy. Excellence is performantial efficiency, performantial efficacy, profitability, etc. All of them will come, provided you have the right focus on your mind and intelligence. Tomorrow we shall speak more about what the mind is capable of, how it can be tackled, with reference to some epic characters. You know, I can quote to you X from here, Y from the Western world, but I refuse to do it. During the past 50 and odd years, I have always been speaking about the Indian heritage and the Indian wisdom, and I will not deflect from it. No foreign author I have ever quoted, as if we have no others. Bhoomananda Swamiji has a great pride in his country. A great pride in his country. That pride is unnegotiable. And I have got an unyielding ego on this front. Unyielding ego. It will not yield even before the super God. Certainly not. We have a great country with supreme quality and excellence. We adore it, we adore them. That is why even today we are worshipping the glory of Rama and the glory of Krishna. The two people who evinced the best of personal fulfillment and professional excellence. You know, Rama was an administrator, he was a king. Krishna also was one. These are the epic two characters whom I will present tomorrow in pursuance to the discussion that we are going to do about the human mind and intelligence. I shall stop today. Is it okay? Huh? Of course, I would like to know who are the people present here. Some of them I know their faces are very familiar. Whether the efforts they have made have been successful. Another point I wanted to say, in Kerala, I refuse to talk in English. But because looking at Kerala to talk in English, it appears to be a travesty for me. So I avoid speaking English in Kerala. And whatever I want to speak in English, the English language and particularly the messages I want to convey, they have very subtle, high, lofty and magnificent dimensions. Somehow I am able to put them in Malayalam language wherever I want. So I have been avoiding scrupulously. This is the first time I have broken by law and rule, and I have decided to address the crowd with all English words, never using Malayalam, though I had a little temptation in between. Stadavyamityadimana bhuvi samsthidosmi samshamdaya sadada supta dhiyaiva vritya karyam karomi nacha kinchidaham karomi karyam karomi nacha kinchidaham karomi. Harihi Om, Harihi Om, Harihi. All of you sit properly. We shall recite. Om Harihi Om Tats Jai Guru.